Everyone and their mother has been talking about this book. It has gotten so much hype that the hype is kind of turned around on it, and people are coming out of the woodworks to now hate on it. I want to know what I think. So, welcome to the Fourth Wing reading vlog, or as my mother has lovingly dubbed it, the bird book. The bird book. No matter how many times I tell her it's about dragons. The bird book. Okay, so I am already a good chunk of the way into this book. I am a whopping, excuse me while I flick through the pages, 8 pages. I'm 8 pages in. First impressions. Our heroine, Violet, is that her name? Violet Beauregard? No, just Violet. Our heroine, Violet, is getting ready to go into this, trial to become a dragon rider, and so far she's seeming very Mary Sue. The first 8 pages are very tropey. We've got a mother who is kind of an asshole. We've got a sister who kind of treats our heroine like she's made of glass. Obviously, with our heroine, we do have some chronic illness representation. It hasn't really been explained. Chronic pain, perhaps. I'm not sure. That is not what's getting on my nerves. The way that other people are reacting to our heroine and kind of limiting her capabilities is what is getting on my nerves a little bit. And I have a feeling that it is this way to set up for the kind of her beating all of the odds situation, which I'm so totally down for. But within the first 8 pages, you know, her dad's dead. This vlog is not going to be spoilers, but if you consider the first 8 pages spoilers, I cannot help you. Her dad is dead. Our heroine also has like the heart of a scribe, but she's going to be going into battle as this dragon rider. So with that, it's feeling very juvenile a little bit, and I'm not totally into it. Though I do have to say that I am really intrigued. I'm really intrigued by the dragons. I'm really intrigued about the dragon rider trials. We're gonna have to see. I am definitely intrigued, but the first 8 pages, boy, I mean, that's just first impressions. I'm just giving you first impressions. I haven't even finished the first chapter yet, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. First 8 pages, very tropey, very cliche, very juvenile YA. Okay, that's where I'm going with it. That's my first impressions. Fourth Wing, everyone. Welcome to the vlog. Hey, gorgeous. Happy Wednesday. So just a little bit of an update on Fourth Wing. I'm on page 55. 55, chapter 5. So I remember that in my first kind of update, I said that it was feeling a little tropey. I definitely still stand by that. I still think that Violet is a little bit of a Mary Sue. She's like, oh, well, nobody has eyes like mine. Nobody has hair like mine. My hair is a sign of weakness. And every other woman in this place is tall and broad and muscular. And I'm just petite and curvy and soft. I'm like, okay. But I mean, we're going with it. It's hot in here. Lord have mercy. Okay, I don't know. It just sounds really stereotypical the way that she describes herself. Within the first couple chapters, it's really giving me Hunger Games and Divergent, specifically Dauntless vibes, which I know has probably already been said. I don't care. Those are the vibes that I'm getting. Luckily, I really like the Hunger Games and Divergent, aka Dauntless. I am really liking it so far. I do find it really, really tropey, and it's very heavy-handed with some of the things that are happening. Like when her sister first mentions Xaden for the first time, she's like, by the way, stay away from Xaden. And it's like, obviously, she's not going to do that. Also, when Violet is going through like the first little trial thing, she centers herself by pretty much reciting the history of the world. So it's like great world building there, you know, just sneaking it in there. The different situations seem very heavy-handed and there's not a lot of nuance. That being said, I know it sounds like I'm criticizing it a lot here, but I am absolutely loving it. Luckily, I really love tropes. I love the vibes that it's giving off. It makes me constantly want to turn the page, and it feels like every page we're finding out something new. So even though it is very heavy-handed and very to the point and kind of in your face, there's no nuance, I kind of have an appreciation for it because we're learning more about either our characters or the world every single page. Does it feel a little bit clunky? Yes. But I have a feeling that once we are established in the setting and with the characters, I have a feeling it's going to get a lot better. But that's what I'm hoping for. Like I said, I am really enjoying it. It's a book that I constantly want to sit down and read. So it's not that I'm not enjoying it. I just have some nitpicky things about the writing style. But that's okay. That's okay. We can look past it. Character-wise, Xaden is already delicious. Dane, I think, is sketchy as hell. There is no way he's not sketchy. He treats our heroine like she's made of glass. I don't like that. But I have a feeling Dane is like her childhood crush, so she's gonna be like, oh my god, Dane. And I'm just like, ew, gross. We like Rhiannon. Dylan is sketchy as hell. Xaden is already delicious. And the dragons are so cool. They're so cool. I hit it out of excitement. The dragons are so cool. So, just a little update. Also, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I'm like 150-ish, I don't fucking know, pages in. All of the like kind of heavy-handed tropiness has gotten a lot better. We've gotten to the story. We've met our main man, Xaden. I'm really enjoying it and I want to pick it back up. It's not with me right now. I'm loving it. It's so freaking good. The way that the world works is that there's different cadets. They're fighting against this other land over like trade agreements, and they're like Aerial Legion is the dragon riders, right? Our main character Violet wanted to be a scribe. Her mama said, no child of mine's gonna be a scribe, so pushed her into the dragon rider program. The dragon rider cadets have to go across this like crazy bridge. It was reminding me of Dauntless. And then they do like training, combat training, so we get some combat montages, which I love those. They're so great. And then they go through what's called the Gauntlet, which is pretty much American Ninja Warrior. That's how I was picturing it in my head. Let me know if you guys pictured that as well, because American Ninja Warrior. And then they go through the Threshing, which is when the dragons choose their riders. That's where I'm at right now. I am at the Threshing. It is so good. It is so good. It's so good. I'm loving it. And there are some characters that I think are sketchier than they may appear, and I'm really enjoying that aspect. There's also, we've made some friends, we have some allies. Hopefully they stay allies and they're not sketchy as hell. I would definitely say that this book draws a lot from the Hunger Games and Divergent, but it's also reminding me a little bit of the Poppy War, which is surprising. The kind of war college is reminding me a lot of the Poppy War, and it's giving me those vibes, but it's like Hunger Games meets Divergent meets the Poppy War, but for fans of Sarah J. Maas, which is so yummy, so delicious. I am absolutely loving it. There's a bird on the bird feeder. Hello. Also, there's these like children of rebels who had rebelled against this society. So we have the children of the betrayers in this college with us, and I'm very intrigued to see how that's gonna work out. I am on page 335 of Fourth Wing right now, and I want to do a kind of pros and cons type of update where I talk about like what am I really liking about this book so far, and also what is not working for me or what I want more of. One of the pros for me is the dragons. You don't really get introduced to the dragons themselves until about halfway through the book. You learn a little bit about them, but you don't know them until about halfway through the book. Lord have mercy, these neighbors. If you hear hollering, it's just It's just my neighbors across the street. I'm sorry. The dragons are sentient, which I really, really like. They all have their own personalities. They have their own, I don't know, sassiness to them. They make their own decisions. They even have their own mates. And also the dragons, they don't communicate with any other human except for their chosen rider. So there's like a really special bond between the dragon and the rider. Another thing that I'm really enjoying in this book so far is Xaden and Violet. They are fantastic. I love them so much. I love when they're on the page together. I just really enjoy them. I wouldn't necessarily say it was enemies to lovers, but I would say that it is definitely dislike or wariness to lovers, which I really enjoy. I also really like Violet's, her journey, because at the beginning of the book, she was being told by everyone how weak she is pretty much, and how breakable she is, and how she needs to go into the scribe program and not the riders because she could get hurt and yada yada yada. She has definitely grown a backbone, and which is what I was hoping for and what I really like. So if you are at the beginning of the book and you're like, oh my gosh, this girl has no backbone, she does. She gains a little bit of a backbone and some confidence, and she's starting to speak for herself, which I really, really enjoy. I also like the cast of characters that we have. I do feel like I want a little bit more from them character work wise, because I feel like I don't really have the background of any of these characters. It feels like these characters' lives started the minute that the book started. Another thing that I'm wanting more of is the politics of the world. We've gotten a smidge here and there, but I definitely want a little bit more of the politics about what's going on, especially with this super dangerous war that's apparently killing all of these people, and the reason why they're constantly wanting to keep up the cadet program is because, you know, there's all these people being killed in the war and they never know peace and yada yada yada. I wish we had a little bit more background with that. There's also a group of cadets who are the children of people who had betrayed the country in the past. I wish we got a little bit more information about that. The other thing that I wish that we had a little bit more of is something other than these training montages. I know that I always say training montages are some of my favorite scenes, and they are. I love a good training montage, but I feel like at this point in the story we are still doing the same sorts of things, and I would like to move on a little bit. Because this is set to be, I think, a 5-book series so far is what the author has said. I think that there's room to have that deeper conversation about the politics and the war, and also with the characters' backgrounds and things like that. I think there's absolutely enough time within 5 books for the author to give us that. Even with all of Sarah J. Maas's series, I feel like the first book is always the weakest one. So if it sounds like I am picking this apart, you should have heard me pick apart Throne of Glass, because I could pick that bitch apart any day of the week, but it's still one of my favorite series because of the way that it grew. So with that being said, this book right now is a ton of fun. I'm having so much fun. If I think about it critically, of course, I have some qualms and some nitpicky things, mostly with the fact that it's not a very long book, and there's a lot of stuff that's packed into that, and I feel like I want a little bit more explanation, a little bit more world building. I feel like that is where it's weakest, is the building of the world. I feel like where we are right now in the story is well built, but I think what's missing is the past, like the history part of the world, as well as a little bit outside of the little war college that we're at. We're missing the outside, the bigger picture is what I'm trying to say. So am I enjoying it? Yes, I'm really enjoying it, but I have a feeling that this series could become a new favorite if we get those little bits and bobs. But I am still really enjoying it, and at this point I'm kind of savoring it. This vlog was supposed to go up tomorrow, but it's not gonna go up tomorrow. It's gonna go up next week, because I am savoring it, because I'm having a lot of fun with it. This is one of those books where it's just a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go read. Good chat. Okay, so it just started to rain, so I'm gonna try to make this quick, and my neighbors are cutting something. I don't know. Look at my Pack of Devils t-shirt. Oh, so cool. Okay, I finished Fourth Wing. I finished it about a week ago. I've been putting this off for God knows why. Just like to give you an overview, I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. So was it worth the hype for me? Yes, but I do have some things to talk about in terms of my rating. I rated this pretty much out of pure enjoyment. If I think about this book too critically, my enjoyment level starts to drop, but I am going to leave it at a 4.5 because that's where I feel that it should be. That's my enjoyment level. It was a 4.5 for me. There's a lot of setup in this book, as well as the fact that our characters are not as well fleshed out as I would have liked. Our world is not as well fleshed out as I would have liked, nor are the politics. They're not well fleshed out at all. We are introduced to a war in this, a war with a different country, different writers, different things like that. And it's not 100% explained what the war is about. Also, our characters seem to start their lives at the start of this book. They don't seem to have, well, Rhiannon does and Xaden does, but most of the characters do not seem to have that deeper aspect that I'm looking for. Take Sarah J. Maas, for example. If you were reading Throne of Glass and book 1 was the only book that was out, you would probably feel the exact same way as I feel about this one. Is it a fantastic book? Yes. Does it have a lot of problems? Yes. The world is lacking. You're kind of stuck in the same place. In Throne of Glass, you're stuck in the glass castle for the majority of book 1. In this book, you're stuck in the war college for the majority of this book. So because of that, I don't believe that the things that I felt were lacking in this book are going to be lacking by the end of the series. If you've read Throne of Glass, you know that Throne of Glass starts really, really small, really contained, and then explodes in book 3 and beyond. So I have a lot of hope for this series, but I really enjoyed it. This is a very compulsively readable book. I was constantly wanting to pick it up. I was constantly thinking about these characters and wondering what was going to happen. Like I said, my main problem with this book is that I felt like I wanted more from pretty much every aspect of the story. I also felt like some of the foreshadowing and world building was a little bit heavy-handed and obvious. There was not a lot of nuance in here. It was very straightforward and to the point. I've seen a lot of people say that this reads very juvenile, and I would have to agree. This does read pretty much like a YA until you get to the steamy bits towards the end, but it didn't really bother me all too much. I have read some books where the characters are obnoxiously juvenile and super young, even though they're supposed to be like in their early 20s, and they've bothered me. This one didn't really bother me. I liked the humor, I liked the sass, I liked what was going on, so I didn't notice it over much, but I do understand why people would say that. I think this book was written for people who read and loved Aragon, which I haven't read, but I plan to, Divergent, and The Hunger Games when they were younger, and absolutely love those books. This is a very nostalgic story. This is the tropes that we know and love, the character types that we know and love, the story that we know and love. That is pretty much what this book is. It's very tropey, it's kind of cliche, but it feels very nostalgic, and it's so compulsively readable that you just want to keep going. Was this book 100% fun 100% of the time? Yes. I was never bored throughout it. I was constantly wanting to pick it up and turn the next page. I absolutely loved it, but I also do think that it deserves 100% of the criticism that it is getting recently, but I do think those criticisms, if like most of them are what I felt as well, I think that a lot of those criticisms will iron themselves out as the series goes, or at least I hope that they do. The next one comes out in November, and I've already pre-ordered it, so I'm so excited to read book 2. Let me know down below what you thought of Fourth Wing if you have read it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.